ready to dive into what happens after the credits roll on this whole life thing.
Yeah.
You've sent us on a wild deep dive today, listeners.
Oh, yeah.
With some sources that tackle life after death.
Yeah.
From some seriously different angles.
Right.
We're talking ancient beliefs, modern science,
Yeah.
and even a straight-up legendary hip-hop album.
It's a question that has, well, it's captivated humanity for as long as we've been around, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this whole idea of what, if anything,
Yeah.
lies beyond death.
And speaking of life after death, we're not just talking about a philosophical concept today.
Right.
We're also talking about that iconic album, by the Notorious B.I.G.,
Iggy.
released just weeks after his death in 97.
Oh, yeah. Talk about a legacy.
Talk about it.
Cemented in music history.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But way before Biggie, way before recording studios even existed,
Right.
humans were crafting myths, rituals,
Oh, yeah.
entire belief systems around this, around the afterlife.
It's like every culture has its own answer to this mystery, you know?
It's like every culture is trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Each trying to find meaning in it, find some solace.
Yeah, maybe even a little bit of hope when you're facing down the unknown.
Exactly, when you're facing the unknown.
Yeah.
So, to kick off our deep dive, let's rewind the clock way back.
Okay.
Let's go back to ancient Egypt.
All right.
They were all about prepping for the afterlife,
Mhm.
right? I mean, we're talking pyramids, mummies, the whole 9 yards.
It wasn't just about preserving the body, though.
Right.
It was about making sure that the soul had safe passage to the afterlife.
Yeah.
The Egyptians, they believed in different parts to the soul.
Okay.
The Ga, it's like a spiritual double, and then the Ba, which is, it's about their personality. You
So
know?
it's like a whole spiritual entourage to help you navigate the afterlife.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
And central to their beliefs was this journey to the Hall of Two Truths.
Okay.
And imagine this, you've passed on,
Okay.
and your heart is placed on the scale, weighed against the feather of Ma'at, which represents, like, truth and justice.
Okay, that's a high-stakes performance review right there.
Oh, yeah.
No pressure or anything.
But this wasn't just some fantastical story, though.
Right,
It
right.
really underscored this core belief they had that living a morally upright life, it directly impacted your destiny
Yeah.
in the afterlife.
Oh, wow.
The heavier your heart was with wrongdoing, the less likely you were to find peace, you know?
Yeah.
So it encouraged them to live a certain way.
It puts a new spin on living with intention.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, though, because even though what we believe might be different nowadays,
Right.
we still carry echoes of those ancient rituals,
That's true.
even today, right?
Yeah.
Like visiting graves, leaving flowers,
Yeah, leaving offerings for those who've died, telling stories to keep their memory alive.
keeping their memory alive.
It's a human thing, you know?
Yeah.
To honor those who have passed and to, I don't know, maintain a connection even though they're physically not there.
It's like we're hardwired to grapple with these big questions,
Yeah.
no matter where we come from, what we believe.
It's true.
But while the Egyptians focused on this fixed afterlife, other cultures, especially in India, they embraced the concept of reincarnation, a
Reincarnation.
cycle of life, death, and rebirth.
And this idea, it's woven into religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism.
Right.
And they say that death, well, it's not the end,
Right.
but a transition
Okay.
in this continuous journey of the soul.
Okay, so let's unpack this reincarnation thing a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about coming back in different forms, right?
Yeah.
Maybe even like as a cat or something.
Yeah, some traditions, they actually say that, yeah, you could be reborn as an animal,
Wow.
depending on your actions in past lives.
Okay.
It's all tied to this idea of karma,
Karma?
the idea that what you do has consequences.
Okay.
And not just in this life, but across lifetimes.
So basically what you do in this life echoes into your next life.
Yeah.
Like a cosmic boomerang or something.
Yeah, precisely.
Wow.
So each life is seen as this learning experience, you know? It's an opportunity to evolve spiritually, to balance your karma,
Right.
and ultimately to achieve liberation from this whole cycle of rebirth.
From this cycle.
Yeah, and this liberation, they call it moksha.
Moksha.
And it's, well, they describe it as this ultimate peace, this oneness with everything.
Wow, it really makes you think, though.
Yeah.
What if we carried the weight of our past lives, like the wisdom or maybe even the baggage
Yeah.
into this life?
Right.
How would that change how we view death
Yeah.
or even just how we live right now?
it challenges how we see ourselves, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If our essence is not just this one life,
Yeah.
if our experience, our actions, if they echo through time,
Yeah.
it makes you think about your choices,
Right.
and how they affect things way beyond what we can even see right now.
Wow.
It's a lot to think about.
It's like our whole sense of self just expands to include all these past and future lives, all woven together.
It's a lot.
It makes you think about the kind of legacy we're building,
Yeah, for sure.
Not just in this life, but like across lifetimes.
It encourages you to be accountable, don't you think?
Yeah.
Knowing that your actions have consequences that go way beyond, I don't know, what we can even understand right now.
Yeah, it's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is.
But shifting gears a little bit here,
Okay.
let's look at another idea about the afterlife.
Okay.
One that's probably more familiar to Western traditions,
Right.
the whole heaven and hell thing.
Yeah, so we're going from this cosmic cycle of reincarnation to the ultimate reward and punishment system.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So it's not just harps and halos versus fire and brimstone then.
Not exactly. For
Okay.
example, let's take the Jewish Sheol.
Yeah,
It's not really seen as a place of eternal torment,
right.
more like a shadowy place where the dead hang out.
Okay, interesting.
And even in Christianity, you've got concepts like purgatory.
Purgatory,
It's a
right?
state of purification before you get into heaven.
It's like a cosmic waiting room or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to work through some stuff before you can move on to the main event.
Exactly.
And all these different takes on it, they show how even within these, seemingly unified belief systems,
Yeah.
the understanding of what is a reward, what's a punishment,
Right.
and even what the afterlife is can be totally different.
Absolutely.
It's good to remember that these concepts get interpreted and reinterpreted through culture and history and, what individuals believe.
Yeah, everyone's got their own take.
Right, for sure. But what about a more, I don't know, how do we say this, a more empirical approach?
Okay.
Can science even tell us anything about this mysterious realm?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, here we go.
This article from the New York Academy of Sciences,
Right.
it dives right into that question, the
Okay.
challenges and possibilities of actually studying death scientifically.
Oh.
And one thing it points out is that near-death experience, that term,
Right.
might not be the best way to describe it.
Because it kind of implies that they haven't actually died.
Right,
Like just dipping your toes in the water
exactly. Yeah.
instead of taking the full plunge.
The article says that a lot of people who report these NDEs, they actually have experienced what we would clinically call death.
Wow.
Their heart stopped, their brain activity stopped,
Okay.
and yet they were revived.
Yeah.
And they came back with all these memories.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those experiences then.
Okay.
What are people actually saying when they come back, like from the brink or whatever you want to call it?
Right.
What are some of the common things they're telling us?
Well, a lot of people talk about feeling this overwhelming peace.
Peace.
Yeah, like they're detached from their body.
Okay.
They often feel like they're floating above themselves,
Wow.
watching things happen from a distance.
Right.
And a lot of them describe a life review,
Like a highlight reel.
Kind of, but here's the interesting part. They experience these events from the perspective of other people they interacted with.
So it's not just seeing your life. It's like feeling the impact of your actions through other people's eyes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine feeling the joy you brought someone or the pain you might have caused.
Right.
All with this crazy intensity.
Intense.
And a lot of people also talk about seeing a being of light.
A being of light.
Yeah, or feeling this unconditional love, something beyond, human understanding.
Okay, so this is where it gets really out there, right?
Yeah.
Because science can explain some of this, like changes in the brain or the body's response to trauma, but it can't explain the whole experience, the emotions, the fact that these stories are so similar across different cultures.
And that's what makes these NDEs so fascinating to study.
For sure.
They challenge everything we know about consciousness
Right.
and how it relates to our physical bodies.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if consciousness can exist without a brain,
Right. Like
Yeah.
it's not just tied to the physical body.
Exactly.
But maybe it keeps going in some form even after our bodies stop working.
It's like we're just starting to understand this huge map.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And speaking of journeys into the unknown, let's get back to Biggie Smalls
Yeah, back to Biggie.
and his album, Life After Death.
Right.
We've talked about ancient beliefs, scientific mysteries,
Right.
but how does this album fit into all of this?
Right, because it's not just about the title, is it?
No, it's not just a title.
His music it was rooted in real life, but it also went deeper than that.
Absolutely.
Right.
While the album doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of his life,
Yeah.
it also explores ambition,
Right.
love, loss,
Yeah.
the fact that we all die
Right.
and what we leave behind.
An impact we have.
Yeah, and Life After Death. It wasn't just a hit album. It
Oh,
became this cultural touchstone,
Yeah.
influencing so many artists.
The whole generation.
It's like his music itself became a kind of afterlife for him.
Right. It's still resonating with people.
Yeah, long after he's gone.
It shows how powerful art can be, to last through time,
Yeah.
connect with us on a human level.
It reminds us that even when things are tough, people still want connection, meaning
I got you.
something that lasts.
It's like Biggie made his own kind of immortality through his music, you know?
Yeah,
A way to keep talking to us even though he's gone.
that's a good way to put it.
So we've gone on this deep dive into ancient myths, scientific mysteries, hip-hop masterpieces. I mean,
It's a lot,
what can we take away from all of this?
right?
What does it all mean for us right now as we're living our lives, dealing with these big questions?
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
It's like we've got all these different ideas about what happens after we die,
Right.
whether it's, heaven, reincarnation, the impact we have on others.
Yeah,
And they all give us a different way to look at our lives right now.
absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the details of each belief. But I think the important thing is the questions they make us ask.
What questions?
Like, how should we live? Knowing that what we do might have, ripple effects.
Right, beyond what we can even grasp.
Exactly. And what kind of legacy do we want to leave?
Not just physical stuff.
Right. Not just that, but in the hearts and minds of other people.
It's like that saying,
What's that?
live each day like it's your last,
Right.
but with a twist.
Okay.
Live each day knowing that what you do matters.
Yeah.
Not just for you, but for everyone around you.
And that's a powerful thought, isn't it?
It is.
That our actions, they don't just disappear.
Yeah.
They create this kind of personal life after death.
Okay, I like that.
And the memories we leave, the impact we have, the stories people tell.
It's like we're all writing our own legacy,
Exactly.
whether we realize it or not.
And maybe thinking about all this, about the afterlife,
Yeah.
it helps us see what really matters in this life.
What really matters.
Yeah, what's truly important to us.
I like that.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on.
Okay.
We've talked about what others believe about the afterlife,
Right.
but what if you could make your own version?
Make your own.
Yeah, what would it look like? What would be
Yeah.
in it?
Wow, that's a big question.
It is, right?
It's like you're giving everyone the power to design their own heaven
Exactly.
based on what they hope for, what they dream about.
And maybe by doing that,
Yeah.
by picturing our own ideal afterlife,
Right.
we understand better what truly matters to us now,
What matters to us right now.
how we want to live,
Yeah.
the impact we want to have.
It all ties together.
It does.
So as you go about your day, listeners,
Yeah,
think about that question.
that's a good one.
What is your ideal life after death look like?
I like it.
And what does that tell you about how you want to live today?
Well, I think this deep dive has given everyone a lot to think about,
For sure.
new ways of looking at things,
Absolutely.
and maybe even a little push to live with purpose, with kindness, and with a sense of awe about, all the mysteries out there.
And who knows, maybe the most important discoveries aren't about what comes after we die,
Right.
but about the incredible potential we have
Yeah.
every single day that we're alive.
Well said.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
It went by fast.
It did. But remember, listeners,
What's that?
keep